going to get started because I actually have a client who may be joining us today in a little less than an hour. So we're going to be stopping definitely by around 10 of. This webinar is going to be packed, jammed full of content, packed, jammed full of content, but it's actionable content. You're going to have just about everything you need to transform your speech and therefore your life in this webinar. So I've got some notes because I don't want to miss anything and I want to be very clear and concise. So that's what we're going to do. So I want to encourage you. Rohit, there you go. Good. So what I want to do is encourage you to take notes if you can now. And if not, watch the replay or listen to the replay because I'm going to go ahead and provide you with an audio version. I will probably get this transcribed too so that you can read it. That's how important this is. So you're going to have just about everything you need in this webinar to take your speech to the next level. The only thing that's going to be missing are all of my audio programs that really help when people listen to those. But if you wanted, you could actually go on to YouTube and you could find various videos to watch and or listen to. If you wanted them packaged and organized and the most up-to-date, then you'll want to take a look at our basic course. If you needed accountability and feedback, which can save you years, then you'll want to take a look at our coaching, which we'll just mention at the end. So let's get started. If you're on this webinar or you're watching the replay, it's because at one point or another, you have struggled or you are struggling with your speech. And you're tired of anticipating blocks. You're tired of running out of air or not being able to get air to get started. You're also tired of constantly worrying about whether or not you're going to be able to speak smoothly or clearly or fluently, confidently, if you're going to be able to say the things that you want to say. You're tired of worrying about that. And it causes us to actually walk around feeling trapped inside our own bodies when we have stuff that we want to say, but we can't say it. Or it comes out late. It's like someone says, thank you. And then you want to say thank you. And then they're gone and you say, thank you, right? Sometimes it's kind of humorous, but oftentimes it's not humorous. So if you're tired of this, I want you to tune in to what we're about to talk about today, because that is, if you put the time in and the work, the goal of the Pro90D speech system, which is much of what I'm going to talk about right now, is to help you get to a place where your speech flows and where your thoughts flow, where you have a nice rhythm and flow to your speech, okay? Where it feels relaxing, it feels calm, it feels easy, it feels enjoyable. I have clients that tell me they now enjoy speaking, okay? So the purpose of this system is to get you to that place where your speech flows, where you don't have to think about speaking. You don't have to think about techniques and strategies. You can just speak and say what you want to say. You can focus more on the message. One of my clients who's a doctor in South Africa, he says that now he's able to get creative with his speech. So remember, speaking is a creative event. It's a creative experience. Some of you are still focused on mechanics. How do I breathe? And that's okay to focus on the mechanics for a while. In fact, you may have to focus on the mechanics to get your speech to a place where you can then be creative. But speaking is really creative, right? It's magical. It's beautiful. It's influential. It's impactful. It's powerful when you're able to do it right, okay? So we're going to focus on something called free flow, that is allowing your speech to just flow and allowing your thoughts to flow. So what I've done is created what some people would call an acronym, but if you write it in a different way, it's actually called an acrostic. So the first F stands for focus on the flow. Okay. Now the flow of what? Focus on the flow. So focus on airflow is the first one that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to give you an exercise that some of you have seen before. This is a critical exercise, and it's becoming more and more apparent and more important as to how important this exercise is. I've had clients, and I have clients right now, and one of my clients is on this webinar, and I'm going to share her video with you. She gave me permission this morning to share her video that she just did yesterday or the day before. And she's also in we have a private exclusive WhatsApp group for all of my coaching clients. We have people all around the world in this group, and they share their experiences, their advice. They encourage each other. I interact with them as well. And she shared a very inspiring video that's literally changing lives. Now, when I talk with her, now she's a doctor, she's a veterinarian. She speaks 3 languages at least that I know about. And when we first met, she was barely able to say one sentence in English. And you'll hear her say this in her video. And while no one's speech is perfect now, but when you see her video, you'll be amazed. It's in English. And if she's conversing with people, you'll be amazed. And so she just shared a success that she had just the other day, where she was able to speak in 2 or 3 of her languages and do it fluently for the whole day with all of her clients. Now, this is something that she literally was not able to do pre-Pro90D. So one of the exercises that I know that she practiced was this free flow speaking exercise. So the first thing that you're going to want to have is airflow, right? Without airflow, nothing happens. So remember this. Airflow gives you your power. Air is what gives you your power. So in order to have the momentum and power to speak, we need air. In order to live, we need air. So when people start running out of air, they often get cloudy mentally, right? They don't have enough oxygen going to their brain. They're not able to speak. You can't get your voice box vibrating, right? You can't get your vocal cords vibrating without any air. And your brain wants to cut off your air when you get to certain words and letters. These are certain words and letters that you believe you're going to get stuck on. So as soon as you get to them, or when you anticipate them, your brain says, oh, you're going to get stuck, cuts off your air. So the free flow speaking exercise helps you. It recalibrates your breathing. We'll talk about that, so that you can maintain constant airflow. So one of the first things that you're going to want to do is to focus on airflow. So we'll talk about the exercise, and thought flow. And we'll talk about what I mean when I say thought flow. So then, if I can just take a pause here and say that everything I'm giving you today are tools. Some are techniques, some are more strategic, right? Some are more tactical, and some are more strategic, if you will. But what this does is this helps you. I'm just going to write this up here. This is going to help you. So I'm just going to put this up here, and I'm going to read it off. So when you feel capable, so when you feel capable and competent, then what that does is that equals confidence. Confidence, right? So when you feel capable, meaning you have the tools, here's what my clients will tell you. They feel more capable now because they have tools to know that if I do get stuck, if I do anticipate a word, I know what to do, right? I have the tools and they work. You feel capable. And when you're competent, that is, you can use the tools easily, fluidly, right? Naturally even. So that if you do get stuck, no one really knows. You don't make a face or anything like that, right? You're fully capable of navigating through that situation smoothly and easily and calmly. You're capable, you're competent, you feel more confident. And when you feel more confident, guess what? Your performance increases. You're able to speak better. So that's very important. So what we're doing now is giving you the tools so that you are more capable. And now you've got to use the tools. You got to practice and use them so that you become more competent. And then you're going to feel more confident, which means you're going to be able to speak better. All right. So airflow. Let's talk about the free flow speaking technique, the free flow speaking exercise to help you become more competent at maintaining airflow. So for those of you that block that get stuck, that anticipate certain words that you can't say. This is an exercise, and some of you will find it easier than others. Others, you find this very, very challenging to do this exercise, which is good because it lets you know what you have to work on. Now let's take a look at this free flow speaking exercise. There's two parts to it. I'm going to run through these quickly because, again, we don't have a lot of time and I'm packing information in here. So I'm going to run through these quickly. But again, I'm going to give you some notes, give you a transcript. You can watch and listen to this again. So in part one, there's 4 phases. Sometimes I describe the phases just a little differently, but they're basically the same. There's 4 phases. So in phase 1, and in fact, I'm not going to write these down so that I can say them faster. In phase 1, you're going to take a super deep breath in through your nose. Super deep breath. I'm going to demonstrate. Super deep breath in through your nose. And you're going to speak until you run out of air on any topic. So the goal is not to say something that's beautiful or that's coherent. You can say random things. You can repeat the things. You can say whatever you want. You can speak from topic to topic. The goal is to focus on maintaining airflow as you speak. Okay. Super deep breath. Fill up your lungs. Speak until you run out of air on any topic. You can do this a little faster and you can do it slower. I'm going to do it at probably a slightly faster medium speed. All right. And then we'll move on to phase 2. So phase 1, super deep breath, speak on anything. So I just took a super deep breath, and right now I'm basically explaining what I'm doing in this free flow speaking exercise. And so I'm taking my time and I'm saying whatever I want to say until I run out of air. And I'm going to keep repeating myself if I need to, but right now I don't need to repeat myself because I'm just about out of air. Okay, so that's phase 1. So I just said anything that came to mind. I wasn't focused on the words or getting the words right or the words that I was using. What I was doing is basically focusing on maintaining airflow with that air that I took into my lungs. Okay, super deep breath through the nose. Then as you exhale, you speak and maintain airflow. Don't think about what you're saying. Just speak. Okay, phase 2. Super deep breath in through the nose and pick a topic. Now slow down because you're going to be speaking about a topic. So you're going to slow your speech down and speak on one topic. You're still going to focus on maintaining airflow. You're not going to think about what you're going to say. You just pick a topic. So my topic is what I'm going to do today, but I'm not going to think about, I'm not going to pre-plan it. I'm just going to say, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do today. I'm going to take a super deep breath and speak slower. Okay, so the topic that I'm going to speak about now is what I'm going to do today. So far I got up and I had some breakfast, a little bit of coffee, and now I'm doing a webinar with you guys. Thank you for being here. And then I have an appointment with Rohit right after this and I'm out of air. Okay, so I went fairly slow. You can go even slower if you want. Just remember, if you go slower, you won't be able to say as much, and that's okay. It's not the goal. The goal is to maintain airflow. Maintain airflow and to not think about what you're saying. That's very important. Take the deep breath, use the power, the momentum, and the flow. You want to see your words riding the airflow out of your mouth. Picture a wave, picture air, picture your words flowing out of your mouth. So as you exhale like a balloon, you blow in the balloon and then you just let the air come out. As the air's flowing out, airflow, you're speaking on the exhalation. You take the inhalation through your nose. So on the second one, you pick a topic, but you don't pre-plan what you're going to say, and you just go slow. And there's a reason for that. We'll talk about it. And you maintain airflow. Okay, phase 3. That was phase 2. Phase 3. I'm going to take a slightly more than normal breath, not a super deep breath, slightly more than normal breath. Pick a topic, and we're going to speak in a longer phrase, but we're not going to run out of air. We're still going to focus on maintaining airflow on one topic. So the topic is, I'm just going to talk about this webinar, right? So the topic is this webinar. We'll take a slightly more than normal breath. Okay, so we are talking about the free flow speaking exercise, and I'm going to speak a little longer, but I'm not going to run out of air. All right, so what I did then is took a slightly more than normal breath. Now I spoke until I felt like I needed more air, not until I ran out though, okay? So I spoke just a little longer with a longer phrase, all right? If you want to practice that one, Now, that was phase 3. Slightly more than normal breath, not super deep. Speak not until you run out of air, but speak until you feel like, okay, I'm running low now. I need some more air. All right. Now, this phase 4 is, again, you're going to take slightly more than a normal breath, just a little bit more, And you're going to say 3 distinct phrases. Now, this is going to mimic normal speech. Okay. So I'm going to say 3 distinct phrases now on a topic. So again, let's talk about, I'm just going to talk about some of my coaching clients. Again, I'm just picking topics. I didn't pre-plan this. I have no idea what I'm going to say. So I'm going to go now a little slower. 3 distinct phrases, which means I'm going to take 1 breath in the beginning, another breath, that's 1, 2, and then maybe another breath. Okay, so let's try. So right now I'm going to talk about my clients, and I just took a slightly more than normal breath. And now I'm taking my second breath, and I'm going to say my second phrase. And I'm taking my third breath, and I'm going to talk about my clients. Now, I didn't talk about my clients. I talked about what I was doing, but you got the idea, right? We're taking 3 breaths, and we're saying 3 distinct phrases, okay? 3 distinct phrases. So I'm going to try that again. So I took a slightly more than normal breath, and I'm saying 1 phrase about whatever topic I want to talk about, which is free flow. And then I'm taking another breath, which is not a super deep breath, but it's a normal breath until I feel like I need more air. And now I'm taking a third breath, and this is going to be my third phrase, and I want to talk about my clients, but I haven't yet. Okay? So just 3 phrases, 3 kind of regular breaths. Now, what does this do? What this does is this helps you to recalibrate your breathing, to be a little more conscious of breathing, because believe it or not, many of you actually forget to breathe, right? Of course, you breathe enough to stay conscious, but some of you literally forget to breathe, and you just keep speaking until you're about to run out of air, and then you take little breath, and you don't have enough power or momentum to drive your speech, right? To make your speech smooth and flowing. So you want to make sure that you're taking deeper breaths. For now, primarily through your nose. And when we're normally speaking, we do take breaths through our mouth. We take little breaths, sometimes slightly more than a normal breath. But what I want you to do is when you're speaking, take more breaths, not all, just more breaths through your nose. They don't have to be super deep, but just be more conscious of breathing through your nose, right? Inhaling through your nose and speaking on the exhalation. Again, we'll mention this a little later. Now, in these exercises, if you notice, we said pick a topic, talk about the topic. Don't think about the topic, though. Why? Because we want you to do one of 3 things. 1, learn how to speak without thinking. If you know your language, you don't really have to think about the words, right? You know the vocabulary, so you want to learn how to speak without thinking. This exercise will help you do that. You pick a topic, right? Or in the first part, in the first phase, you don't pick a topic, you just speak. Some people have a hard time doing that, believe it or not. They have a difficult time speaking without thinking. So this exercise will help you with that. This exercise will help you maintain flow because you pick a topic, and what you'll discover is that you're able to say exactly what you want to say without having to think about the words, right? If you take your time, you can speak without thinking and say what you want to say. You're just kind of flowing, right? You're focusing more on the message, or you're not even thinking about anything. We'll talk about that, right? And you'll find that there are times where, number 2, you have to speak while thinking. So you're thinking about how you want to say something while you're speaking. You're thinking of the next subject, or you're picturing it while you're speaking. And then third, you sometimes have to think before you speak. But this is actually rare, believe it or not. Only if you are not familiar with the language. For example, when I speak Spanish, I have to think a lot about the words because I'm not completely fluent in Spanish. I have to think about it often. Or if you're in a high-level meeting and every word that you say is very important, then you might have to think before you speak. But even then, if you've prepared, then you know what you want to say, and you can just focus on making sure you communicate the message accurately and clearly. Okay? So even then, you really don't have to think about the words. So it's rare that you have to think about words. Most of the time, you can think without speaking, believe it or not. In fact, most people do. when they're out and you say, what are you thinking about while you're speaking? And they'll give you this crazy look like, what are you talking about? Right? I don't know, I'm just speaking. I'm just saying what I want to say. Because it's just like walking. We want you to be able to speak like you walk. You don't think about walking. When you're done with this webinar, you're going to walk, you're going to go somewhere. You're not even going to think about, okay, I'm standing up, I'm moving my knees, I'm moving my legs, and I'm walking over here. You're just going to get up and move over there because that's your intention. That's what you want to do. Speaking is the same way. You want to be able to say what you want to say, communicate what you want to communicate without thinking about it, right? Without thinking about it. So here we go. Those are the 4 phases of the free flow speaking exercise. You want to practice these every day for about 30 minutes at least, 30 minutes, all 4 phases. Now, here's a new part that I'm adding. Remember, I told you it's a secret strategy. If you've ever heard the strategy before, trust me, I didn't get this from anyone else. I'm not saying that no one else came up with it before me, because maybe they have, but I've never read it. I've never heard it. So as far as I know, I'm probably one of the first people to come up with this particular exercise. Again, if it's a good idea, someone else has probably come up with it already. But if you hear it again, probably got it from Pro90D. So that's the first 4 phases. Here are the other phases of the Pro90D speech system that I want you to take a look at. This is, and they're not really phases, but it's part 2 of the exercise. Okay. So part 2 is going to help you focus on the message. I'm going to run through these exercises. Again, I'm going to give you this information so you can read it for yourself. Exercise 1, using the style that you learned in phase 4. That's where you take a slightly more than normal breath, and then you speak, and you take slightly more than, and then you keep speaking that way. So exercise 1 is to, using the same style that you learned, you're going to speak for 2 minutes about something that happened in your past, right? Speak for 2 minutes continuously. Obviously, you have to take breaths in between. That's why you use the style you learned in phase 4. Speak continuously for 2 minutes about something that happened in your past, okay? Exercise 2, using the style that you learned in phase 4, speak for 2 minutes about your future goals. Could be plans you have for tomorrow, plans for 6 months, this year, 5 years. Speak about your future goals continuously for 2 minutes, okay? Continuously. Exercise 3, using the style that you learned in phase 4, speak for 2 minutes on a subject or topic that you're both passionate about and you have knowledge of. So here's a pro tip. Whenever you speak, try to position yourself in conversations and situations where you can talk about something that you have passion for and that you have knowledge of. When you have knowledge of something, it's easier for you to flow with it. When you're passionate about something, it's easier for you to flow with it, okay? Because you have more energy, enthusiasm. You're speaking more proactively, okay? So those are the 4 exercises. Those are the 3 exercises. Let me give you the 4th one. Using the style that you learned in phase 4, talk about something that you've read about, heard, watched, or listened to. So you could just take, for example, this webinar and speak for 2 minutes about what you learned in this webinar. Now, if you notice, all 4 of these require you to think in different ways. You're looking back, you're looking forward, you're thinking about something that you're passionate about, you're thinking about something that you heard or learned, right? And so you're analyzing it in different ways. You're thinking about it in different ways. So this exercise will help you communicate better in a variety of different situations by using this exercise and using what you learn in the free flow speaking exercise. Does that make sense? So this is part 2, and we gave you part 1. All right. So let's move on and talk about this second part, which is thought flow, right? So we talked about focusing on the flow, and we're going to talk about thought flow just briefly, which we already have talked about it. This is where you're able to stream your thoughts. So some of you out there don't really stutter. You're not as clear and articulate as you like to be in higher pressure situations or when certain people are around. Your thoughts don't flow. So what you want to do is when you practice this exercise, especially you pick a topic and you practice speaking on that topic while maintaining airflow, it will allow your thoughts to flow. So one of the purposes of the Pro90D, one of the goals, is to help your thoughts to stream, to flow, so that you can say what you want to say, the way you want to say it, when you want to say it, without having to interrupt yourself. There's a session that I have, it's called Finish Your Thoughts, Finish Your Words, Finish Your Words, Finish Your Thoughts. It's in the basic course. Brilliant session. People love it, really helps them learning to physically finish your words so you don't cut them off. So people are saying, what did you say? And finish your thoughts. Don't interrupt yourself. Some people, and then they, well, you know what? And then they interrupt themselves so you don't know what they're saying, right? So thought flow and airflow. Focus on the flow. All right. What's the R? The R is for you to release negative preoccupation. Release negative preoccupation. With what? With letters, words, people, and situations. Okay? Now, what happens for many people is that they become preoccupied. They begin anticipating negatively. Oh, here comes this word. I need to say this word. I need to say my name. I need to say the name of my company. I need to say this word. I need to order this coffee. So they become preoccupied with saying that letter word, or, oh, the president or my manager or my senior is going to be here, and I hope that I make a good impression, right? So we become preoccupied with their judgment of us and how that might impact our reputation, how people see us, our performance, our pay, our career, which then impacts our self-esteem, our self-image, our self-confidence. So we become preoccupied with all of those things. And what it does is it hinders our performance, right? It distracts us. We become negatively preoccupied with things. So it can come down to being preoccupied with a letter all the way up to an entire situation. I've got to go to a restaurant and therefore I have to give them my name. So you start thinking about it. So when you get there and you have to give your name, you're already worked up, right? And some people give other names and so forth. So what we want to do is release this preoccupation. How do you do it? You want to shift your focus to, just going to get a clean sheet here. You want to shift your focus to any one of these 5 things. Number 1, your model. Shift your focus to your model. We'll briefly talk about these. Your message. Okay. Your audience. And your goals. And finally, being present. Okay, so let's run through these. Modeling, again, we can't go into detail, but modeling is what we call observational learning. It's a part of observational learning. Albert Bandura. Check him out. Okay, I think his name's Albert. First name's Albert, definitely last name Bandura. Observational learning, scientific. Modeling is how you and I learn how to speak our first languages, first couple of languages, is how people learn how to do all kinds of things. Drive, we learn different sports by modeling, by observing how other people do it. So modeling is very natural, believe it or not. And it's a powerful way to learn new skills. And speaking well is a new skill. So modeling, when you shift your focus to your model while you're speaking, that is, you just, boom, pull up an image, pull up a sound, you say something or you do something like what your model does, and all of a sudden you find yourself being positively distracted from all those, from the words and the letters and the people, to speaking like your model. How do I know this works? Well, I did it, and hundreds of my clients have done it. One client just told me just the other day, he might even be on this webinar, that he was doing something. He had been listening to my audios watching my videos, and he was in a conversation. All of a sudden, he thought about Michael Williams, right? So what am I doing thinking about Michael Williams? And he said it helped him speak better because he wasn't thinking about himself and how he usually speaks and getting stuck over here. How does Michael Williams speak? How do I speak when I'm speaking like Michael Williams, right? This isn't for you guys to speak like Michael Williams forever. And Michael Williams is not the best speaker in the entire world. Not saying that. Just one model, one way to speak smoothly. So when he focused on his model, it distracted him positively. It helped him see and feel and hear something that was going to help him speak smoothly, right? So focusing on your model, shifting your focus to your model, all right? How do you do that? You watch videos, you listen to the audio, you practice modeling like we do in our basic course. I've talked about that. Your message, think about your message. So at some point, you do have to focus on mechanics if you're improving your speaking skills. So there are some mechanics, and we'll talk about specifically what those are. You have to focus on some mechanics to improve your speaking skills. Just like any skill, you have to focus on the mechanics at first, but then you gradually shift into focusing on the creative part or the message. So you think about the idea that you want to communicate. Okay, so you focus on your message. And there's something that I call VIC that some of you heard me talk about. And I'll briefly mention it here. Okay, briefly mention it here. The V stands for value. Now, this is something that I do subconsciously now. This is something that you can do consciously. So when you're speaking and you're thinking about the message and you're thinking about your audience, you think about, is what I'm saying valuable? Is it valuable to them? Right? So if you're in a meeting or you're talking to someone, is what I'm saying valuable? Sometimes I'll call this RIC. R stands for relevancy. Is this relevant to the conversation? RIC and VIC. So is this valuable information or is it not? Is it valuable to them? Is it valuable? I, impact and influence. Is this having an impact on them? Are they paying attention? Am I speaking too fast, too slow? Am I engaging them? So am I having an impact? Is what I'm saying influencing them? Okay. And so you want to just have that in the back of your mind, and you want to strive to make sure that what you're saying is valuable, it's relevant, that it's impactful, that it's influential. And then C stands for clarity. Is what I'm saying clear? Clarity has two parts. It has style and structure. Am I speaking in a way that's clear? Am I mumbling? Am I speaking too fast? Am I speaking too slow? Am I cutting off my words? Right? So I want to make sure I'm speaking clearly, stylistically, and I want to make sure I'm speaking clearly structurally. Have I structured my thoughts so people can follow them? Well, I want to talk about three things today. Number one, number two, number three. Why should we do this, right? So to make sure it's structurally clear. So if what you're saying is valuable to the people you're talking to, and if it's engaging, it's impacting, it's influential, and it's clear, people will enjoy speaking with you, enjoy speaking to you, enjoy listening to you, enjoy conversing. People will give you leadership, right? Because you're doing something that many people are not able to do. So instead of anticipating words and letters and things like that, you want to shift your thinking eventually away from the mechanics to the message and your audience using VIC. Just have that in the back of your mind. It's a positive distractor. It's distracting you, yes, but it's a positive distractor. So it keeps you from thinking about words, letters, people, and situations, because you're thinking about really what you should be thinking about is the people you're talking with, the audience, the message. Does that make sense? All right, your goals. So if you're going throughout the day and you're thinking about, and I know you probably wonder, how in the world is goals going to help me? Well, often people are going through the day anticipating and being preoccupied with speaking situations, and I hope I don't have to do this, or I got to answer the phone today. But if you're going through the day and you're thinking about your goals, you're thinking about something you want to accomplish, what do I think about mostly all day? I think about you, and I think about how I can create something and do something that's going to help transform your life. So it gives me energy, and I'm not thinking about myself, and I'm not thinking about my own speech. I'm thinking about you. So I'm thinking about my goals. And if your goals happen to be, or if a part of your goals can help someone else, if they're benevolent, right? If they're altruistic, right? Then what will happen is you'll have a higher sense of self-esteem, a better self-image. You're going to feel better about yourself, feel better about life. And you're actually going to feel more positive and have more hope. And again, you're going to be positively distracted from yourself. We have to get out of our own heads, get out of our own way. It's constantly me, me, me. Okay, my speech, and I'm going to get, no, how can I help someone? How can I develop my speech so I can help someone else? And guess what? Magically, you'll find that you're motivated, that you're doing the things that to help other people. You're not focused on yourself and your own speech. This is very important. And this is tactical, right? You just have to keep shifting your thinking. Just because you're listening to this doesn't mean it just works by magic. You listen to it and then you practice it every time you speak. Every time you speak, you practice it. Okay. And then finally, you distract yourself positively by thinking about nothing, by just being present. So often when I'm speaking with my clients, I'm not thinking ahead about what I want to say or, oh, okay, and this, and then, oh, so what do I have to do tomorrow? No, I'm just sitting there empty-minded, listening to them, taking in what they're saying, and then responding automatically and naturally with kind of a flow. So there's a rhythm and flow to our conversation, but I'm fully present. I'm nowhere else at that time. Does this make sense? So learning how to be more mindful and mindfully present in your conversation and not think ahead and not think behind, not think to the side, just be empty and present. Again, very, very important. Okay. So go through those. Remember, shift your focus to any of these, and in some cases, all of these, right? Figure out which ones work for you best in the moment. Remember, it's not something you just do once. You have to do it repeatedly for it to become a habit. So don't say, oh, man, this is great, microwave. I'm going to try this. And then you try it. Oh, it didn't. I tried what you said and it didn't work. Okay, let me jump to something else. No. If you're learning a skill and you try it once, you try it 10 times, try 50, you got to keep trying it and you got to keep honing it until it works. Okay, because this does work because it's already been proven, right? So here is the E, right? That was the R. This is the E. And this we've talked about, but I'm reinforcing it. Exhale as you speak. Exhale as you speak. Okay. So what you want to do here is, I'm just going to give you 4 simple principles. Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. I know that sounds silly. It sounds simple, but you actually have to remind yourself. These are part of the mechanics. You actually have to remind yourself for a period of time to recalibrate your breathing and your thinking. You have to remember to breathe when you're speaking. Remember, we talked about that earlier. So start taking in conscious breaths through your nose. And as you speak on the exhale. So exhale as you speak or speak as you exhale. Okay. So I'm exhaling and I'm speaking. And I'm exhaling and I'm speaking, right? And you'll find that when you have that air, when you're speaking on the exhalation, you have more power and more momentum, but you have to practice this. So remember to breathe. Number 2, temporarily take conscious breaths through your nose. We just talked about that. So remind yourself to breathe. Temporarily start taking more conscious breaths through your nose. Number 3, picture your words riding or floating on air. Just see the words floating on the air. Number 4, extend and blend your words. This is tactical. So you extend and blend. Some people call it prolongating, elongating. I don't really like those words. I like extending. Use whatever word you like. But you'll hear me talk about extending. Okay? So you want to make sure that you are extending and blending your words. If you extend and blend your words, then what will happen is you will be able to maintain airflow, right? You will be able to maintain airflow. So extending and blending is a tactical way, it's a technique to blend your words, okay? Blend your words, all right? Okay, so let's take a look now. So there's 4 things that you want to remember. Exhale as you speak. Remember to breathe. Temporarily take conscious breaths through your nose to recalibrate your breathing. Picture your words riding or floating the breath as it leaves your mouth. Extend and blend your words. All right, exhale. The last E is to energize your speech. Energize your speech with these proactive speaking skills. Okay. Energize your speech with these proactive speaking skills. Now, what are the skills? Okay, so here are the skills. And we've mentioned them, so we're reinforcing. These are proactive speaking. Why are they called proactive speaking? Proactive speaking means you're speaking on purpose. You're speaking with energy and enthusiasm, right? So I find when people speak with more energy and enthusiasm, they smooth out their speech. Their speech is smoother. It has a greater rhythm to it, a greater flow to it. So some of you may not have known this, but Pro90D stands for proactive speaking in 90 days. This is the time that I see it takes people to be able to speak more proactively. All right. So energize your speech with these speaking skills. Number one, breathing. We talked about that. Got to breathe. Got to remind yourself to breathe. Got to maintain airflow. So number one is breathing. It's a skill, right? It's natural, but it's also a skill to learn how to breathe. When you're speaking, breathing regularly, breathing rhythmically, breathing fully. So remind yourself to breathe. Number two, extending and blending your words. Extending means kind of stretching or elongating your words a little more. Not every word, that sounds weird, but more of your words to slow your speech down, to give you greater control and flow. So you want to extend and blend, blending meaning that you're not leaving spaces between your words so that you can get stuck and so that it sounds choppy. So you are blending your words like this, right? You're blending your words like this. And you're also going to vary your speed. It's called dynamic speech, but we won't get into that today. But you're extending and blending. This is tactical. This is how you maintain airflow, how you gain control by extending and blending more of your words. Number three, inflecting your words. Some people have told me, wow, when I inflect more of my words, I have more power, I have more energy, right? And I don't get stuck and it sounds better. There are some jobs that require you to be able to speak with inflections. They'll say in the job description under communication skills, speak with inflections. They don't want you speaking monotone or monotonous. So inflecting. Number four, articulating, making sure that the words that you're enunciating and pronouncing are clear. So you're articulating, you're using your mouth, you're using your tongue, your jaws, right? You're using your mouth to clearly enunciate, pronounce, right, the words, to articulate the words. So articulating is another skill that you can learn. Part of articulating, we say, is finishing your words, listening for the endings of your words. You're finishing your words, you're articulating better. Number five is demonstrating with body language. So you'll notice when I speak, I use some facial expressions, head gestures, hand gestures. I move my arms, right? Right now I'm standing here because I have to stay within a certain range of the camera, right? So I tend to kind of stay, but if I were live, I would be moving, not pacing, but I'd be moving. Sometimes I move into the audience. So you want to demonstrate. You can use your hands to demonstrate what you're doing. So it gives you more energy and enthusiasm. You're also moving your body as opposed to being stiff and tight. So 5 proactive speaking skills are what? Breathing, extending and blending, inflecting, articulating, and demonstrating with body language. Okay, so if you remember to do these things, and you remember that the goal of Pro90D is to get you to a place where you are doing what? Where you're speaking with flow and rhythm, where you are speaking without thinking most of the time, or you're speaking while you think. And in few times you are thinking before you speak, right? The goal of the Pro90D speech system is to help you become an excellent speaker and a superior communicator. Okay, so if your goal is just to stop stuttering, you're probably not going to have the incentive and the motivation to stick with a program like this. This is for people who want to go above and beyond and who have a positive goal of becoming an excellent speaker. So here's what I always say. If you are able to speak smoothly and fluently and clearly and confidently and calmly 95 to 98% of the time, well, then guess what? You can't be stuttering 40 or 50 or 60% of the time, right? You can only get stuck and have disfluencies anywhere from 5 to 2% because you're speaking smoothly, clearly and confidently 95 to 98% of the time. The average person is disfluent about 2% of the time. Some people more so, right? Using a lot of likes and stumbling over their words. Some people are more disfluent than that. So if you focus then on how you want to speak and you get that up to a good 95, 96, 97, 98%, stuttering will take care of itself, right? I want you to build an asset, not a liability. So you're building an asset that will become one of your most valuable assets for the rest of your life. This is not about, the goal of the program is not to help you to stop stuttering. It is to help you become an excellent speaker and a superior communicator. Now, here's my invitation to you. Some of you, you can watch this video and you can really go through it and take notes. If for some reason the quality didn't come out well, I'll check it out and I'll just record it again, right? I'll record it again and make sure that you get a copy. But as long as it does come out well, then some of you are going to go through this video and you could take the information here and you can go out, find some of my videos on the web and you can listen to those and you can use this to transform your speech. Others of you are going to want something more organized. So Myra's going to put a link in here for our basic self-study. You can do a free trial. Some really good information in there, plus what you learn here. So some of you simply can't afford the coaching or whatever. And so we want to give you an opportunity through the basic and through all of my free content to transform your speech. Number one. Number two, others of you know that you want to accelerate the process. What we find is when people are working on their own, they can take 10 times as long, sometimes longer. So we're talking years. Why? Because they go through the programs, they watch the videos, but they're inconsistent. They'll get results, then they'll stop. They'll get results, they'll get distracted. They'll get discouraged, right? Oh, this is taking too long. So now, okay, no, it does work a little bit. So they'll get distracted and discouraged. So they take years to get to, sometimes not even to get to the same level that you would when you have accountability, evaluation, feedback, encouragement, when it's personalized and customized. So some of you are going to want to work with me one-on-one. We just launched a new coaching program called the New Laser Focus Coaching. And Myra's going to post a link for that as well. Laser Focus Coaching. It's affordable and you can see all the details here. It's much more affordable than the other ones. So you're going to want to take a look at that. And I only have a certain number of seats. So I'm not saying that to hype it up or as a false sense of, we don't have any more seats left, but I have a finite amount of time in my day and in my week. So therefore I can only have a certain number of seats left. So just imagine in the next couple of months, 2 to 3 months, your speech can be transformed. You can be having conversations and doing things that you may not be able to do right now if you're ready to do the work. So this is not for everyone. It's for people who are ready to do the work, want to become excellent speakers and superior communicators. Why do doctors and scientists and people like that choose Pro90D? They choose it because they understand the science and they know that this works, right? That's why they're choosing this program more and more and more. So you can jump around and you can buy devices and you can go to programs that promise you to cure stuttering in a few days or that help you just manage your stuttering. Well, you'll never be a great speaker, but at least you can live a full life by managing your stuttering. You can do that. Or you can be one of those people, doesn't matter how severe you stutter, stammer, or even if you don't stutter or stammer, you just want to speak clearer, more confidently, want to present better. You can, don't trust me. I want you to trust me. Trust yourself. Check out the program on your own, do the free trial, check out the videos, practice some of what I say. Watch the testimonials, right? These people are not lying. They're not all lying, okay? Watch them, do your research on the science if you want, and then take that step. Don't be afraid. You're going to spend the time and money. The time is going to pass anyway. So what we don't want is for 3 months from now, you to look back and go, oh, I'm still struggling with my speech. Your speech is not going to get better on its own. And it's also not going to get better if you're jumping around from program to program. It's going to get better if you lock in on a program that's scientifically based and you stick with it and it works. And you're going to get there faster if you have someone who customizes and personalizes it and gives you accountability to help you do what you need to do. If that's not for you, if you can't do that, then do the basic at least. Try it on your own. So trust yourself. Don't trust me, right? Trust yourself. So thank you very much. I said that we're going to be done because I have an appointment. And so I'm going to just take a few questions. I'm going to take a few questions for you so I can see some of the questions here. So someone's asking about the Udemy course. Someone said $2,000 US. How is that affordable? Great questions. Let's just go ahead and answer those. So Udemy has a very, very old, I'm talking several years, version of Pro90D. And it's still good stuff. It still works, but it's not updated. So what's the update? Well, updates is every single year I'm updating the course because I'm learning new things from my clients. And the clients are saying this works and this works. And what about this? And what about that? And so I'm adding that to the course to make it more streamlined, more focused, to work more efficiently. So yes, you can get the old version, but you're not going to get the stuff that works the fastest and the best because that's in the new version. But if you can't afford it, then get the old version. Just know you're not getting the latest stuff. Okay. It's like buying a car 45 years old, right? Or 50 or 20 years old, whatever. It may be great transportation, but you might want some of the new technology that's safer and so forth. So now, someone says, how's $2,000 affordable? Well, my programs generally start from $3,100 to $4,100. And that's because this is something that's transformational, it's valuable, and people get their investment back in many different ways. One way they get it back by getting better jobs and earning higher incomes because of their speech. If it's not something that you can afford because you live in a place where you can't afford that, then I have the self-studies. You got to remember, we live in different economies. And so I'm providing lots of information for free. Some of the information is free and some is lower cost. And coaching is a higher cost, higher value item. That's just the way it is. That's just the way the economy is. Okay. So $2,000 is very affordable for some people. They'll take vacations and spend $2,000. Someone says, well, why are you charging for coaching? So here's my question for you. Do you work? Do you have a job? Do you want a job? If you do work you work for free? If you live in an economy where the wages are higher, then you're not going to want to earn the lowest wage if you have valuable knowledge that's putting in great value back to society. You're going to want to be paid commensurate to the value that you're putting in. So why would you ask me, why am I charging for coaching? It's my calling, but it's also my business. It's what I do, right? So you will understand that if you have a job, when you have a job, and you won't ask me, why are you charging? Okay. And you'll see that if you look around at other coaching, people are charging anywhere from $1,500 to $6,000. And this works. If this works, right? This really works. And it's not just not stuttering. It's helping you become an excellent speaker. So this is just not a stuttering program. So you're getting more for your money. So I hope I answered your question. Any other questions that I can see here? Students can't afford the program. You can't afford the coaching program. You probably can afford the self-study. If you can't afford the self-study, I have enough free information out there that you can transform. Somebody wrote me and said, I just used your free information to transform my speech. So you can do that. I have lots of students who take my programs. Their parents pay, right? Maybe your parents can't pay. Again, if you go someplace and you want to purchase any kind of a program and it costs any amount that you can't pay, and you say, oh, well, I can't afford your program. That's just life, right? You can't afford that program. You find something that you can afford. That's just the way it is. All right. So any other questions? Someone says it's getting miraculous results in just a week. It really works. All right. Student can't afford so much. Talking rupees. Yes. Okay. So you're in India. Absolutely understand that. The other thing that I want to invite those of you that may be watching, if there are people in India who want to be trained, again, you're going to need to be in a position where you can pay for that training, and we'll talk about what the cost of that be. But I can train people to be certified so that you can charge something commensurate with where you live. So if you're in India or a country where the value, where you just don't earn the income, then talk to me and let's look at some training for you. Okay. All right. Self-studying can use 7-day free trial to help. Yes, you can use the 7-day free. There's enough information in there and in this video to help you transform your speech. Okay. But remember, if you spend any money on anything, and some of you will, you'll do vacations, you'll buy shoes, you'll buy telephones, and you'll do this over a period. I had a guy who saved up for a year, right? He worked on his own. He saved up for a year and purchased the coaching in India. Lots of Indian clients. So you want to invest the money in yourself. Some people are just not willing to do that. They're just not willing to invest money in themselves. You can save a certain amount of money if you want. Some of you, many of you can. If you can't, again, I have free resources that actually work. Someone just typed it in there. It's not one of my coaching clients. He says it actually works. Okay. All right. What else? Nigeria, need training. All right. Get in touch with me. Were you a stutterer? If so, yes, I absolutely was stuttering. My wife can tell you, because we've been together for 30 some years. There are times where I'd bite my tongue. I'd have her make phone calls. There are times where I couldn't say things for 20 some years, like almost until I was in my 30s, my mid to late 20s, all the way from the time I was in first or second grade. I stuttered. And sometimes I still get stuck, right? So I know sometimes I allow myself to get stuck, so I know what it feels like. So yes, laser focus, the only one-on-one training. For right now, absolutely, it's the only one. It's the only one that I have available, okay? All right, good. So I have another client in 1 minute, Rohit, and I am going to hop off. If you have questions, you can send them via email, or you can go and send them via our little chat box on our website. Okay. Someone said, how did I get help? I didn't do any kind of speech therapy. Back then, the internet wasn't as accessible, so I couldn't do programs online. I used a very similar system that I'm teaching you right now. I modeled, I did affirmations, and I put myself out there and spoke as often as possible. That's exactly what I did. So that's the foundation of the system. And it works, and it's based on science. Okay. Of course, it's Udemy and it's cheap. It's been very helpful. Great. Yes. So there are courses that you have that's cheaper, that's on Udemy. And so if your finances are not in a place where you can buy the other ones, then you can take the ones on Udemy. Just remember, the most up-to-date stuff is on my website. So it still works. It still works. It's still good stuff. But if you want the most up-to-date, then you come to my website. All right. Tom, hey, Tom, good to see you. All right, guys, I got to hop off right now. We will see you the next time. We'll check out the replay, see if it's good. If not, I'll re-record this. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. You will be getting an email immediately after that should have a copy of the replay. We'll see you later.